YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington football team live stream, and we're back. Welcome back. We're back together, man. We're back together. Know you guys that's been here for a long time. Remember last off season, we were here. I know some of y'all were getting tired of us. We literally were here every single week.
Yeah.
Me and on the warpath. How are you doing today, my good man?
I'm doing good, brother Juan. It's thank you for having me back on here, man. Yeah, I remember last time we were on here like for a month straight, just coming on and talking. So it's good to get that energy and kindle the fire again and chop it up with you, man.
Yes, always, man. And I just want to take a second to just admire your work. You have grown so much since then. Last year we were both, and we're still little dogs, but last year we were both little dogs, and we will be working our tail off, and it's just great to see it finally paying off. I see you over there doing great interviews with Julie Donaldson, Mitch Tesler. It's great to see, man. I enjoy your content every single time I watch it, and it's going to be a great show tonight. And as always, like I said, it is a blessing to work with you, and we're going to be here pretty much more often, just like last year. So before we get into the show, I just want to say shout out to some of the people that's in the chat. Brian Harden is always here. Let's see who else. Septics is here. How are you doing? Septics and Cannabis, how are you doing? And as always, for you guys getting to the show, make sure you guys go subscribe to On the Warpath. His link is in the description. And while you're doing that, give me a subscribe and a like on the stream. As always, we're both on the road to 3,000 subscribers, so both help us out with that. So Corey, on the warpath. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to the elephant in the room that everyone wants to talk about. Everyone knows what this video is about. They see the thumbnail, Daniel Snyder. So it came out yesterday that good old Dan boy, his punishment was $10 million and his removal of day-to-day operations. And his wife will now oversee that for the next several months. I don't know if you got a chance to catch my video or not, but I did say in my video, it's a slap on the wrist. It's a slap on the wrist. I compared it to the MLB, the way they handled the Astros, Rob Manfred, and obviously it's two totally different situations. But if you guys recall, if you guys are baseball fans, they didn't do anything to the Astros. They didn't take away no draft picks. They didn't take away anything that was going to set back that franchise for multiple years to come. And honestly, what they did the same with Washington. And I'm glad that they did that for my favorite team. But Daniel Snyder as the person deserves so much worse for his role in the things that was going on for a decade plus in Washington. And like I said, a slap on the wrist. This is a man who has a net worth of over $1 billion, multiple $1 billion, and he's only getting a $10 million fine. I guarantee you he's probably making that back right now if he hasn't already. You know what I'm saying? And it also kind of not really strikes me, but it kind of makes sense as to why they announced the other day that Tanya Snyder is now the co-CEO rather. And honestly, it was just like, why now? You know what I'm saying? It was something random, but now it all makes sense. So you hear enough of me, guys. I want to hear your side of this situation. What do you think about good old Dan basically getting off the leash and getting a slap on the wrist?
Well, it's not really surprising. You got to take this. It's like multiple layers to this situation. I honestly think the Beth Wilkinson investigation was concluded months ago because a lot of things that they have done over the last 11 to 12 months has been indicative of what's already in this report. You know, Pete Haley showed, I call it like a drug recovery plan. They got the 10-step plan to drug recovery according to the Washington football team. And my biggest thing was that this is all common HR stuff. If you work anywhere, this is HR, which they neglected for years in Washington. Is a slap on the wrist, yes, but I think there will be some hidden costs that he has to pay out. Remember, he did have to buy out the minority owners, right? This investigation didn't come free, so he's probably going to pay for that as well. The overhaul, the hiring and firing of different people in the organization. a la bringing in Jason Wright, Julie Donaldson, firing Larry Michaels. There's got to be some kind of severance package or letting him go. Eric Santos and all those cats as well. So there's probably more that they're paying. But at the end of the day, it's a slap on the wrist. Dan, we haven't heard anything from Dan since this has happened. The only time we've heard from Dan Juan is on TMZ. It wasn't about workplace misconduct. It was about looking for a new stadium. The problem with this is that this is the NFL. The NFL talks about protecting the shield. It's not the players. It's the owners. The owners are the shield, and they will protect their interests because it's a fraternity. It is a fraternity of rich dudes who are out here who are trying to protect their interests, because Bob Kraft, Jerry Jones, and a lot of these other guys, you can't tell me that they're not doing anything. The one thing Washington is guilty of in this situation, outside of workforce malfeasance and all this, is they were sloppy. Dan Snyder is sloppy. You can't be arrogant and think you're great. If we were as great as Dan Snyder thought he was, we'd be winning the Super Bowl every year. Now, to the other side, the National Football League. This is a joke. Beth Wilkinson is a prominent attorney, revered in the legal community, prominent business, an oral report, a series of oral reports. Juan, you go to McDonald's. I see this on my channel. You go to McDonald's. You get a chicken McNugget. You get a McChicken for $1. With inflation, it's probably like $2.25 now. But anyway, you go there, you still gonna get a receipt. Anything you learn, you need to have a paper trail. That's why we have birth certificates, license, everything. You have to have. So you mean to tell me a 12-month investigation has no paper trail, no report? I wrote it down here. The Mitchell Report, Steroids in Baseball, 409 pages. Nikki Giavala said the Deflategate Report was 269 pages, 96 pages for Ray Rice. And you mean to tell me 20 years of this mess going on and you can't come up with a sentence? Something stinks. And then the Tanya Snyder thing, they ain't still in control. They call it voluntary, but he hasn't been suspended. What's stopping him from day-to-day operations and talking to his wife, or his wife going to him? It's a mess, man. It is a mess.
Yep, and totally agree with everything you said, especially towards the end of where you were talking. I think I'm with you to the sense of I'm less frustrated with Washington and Dan Snyder, buddying up with the owners, because that's obvious. Like you said, a bunch of rich dudes are going to go with each other. I'm more frustrated with Roger Goodell and the NFL and Beth Wilkinson, because I like to think that Roger Goodell was actually one of the better commissioners of the four major sports in the North, in this area of sports. And obviously, in my opinion, I think Adam Silver takes the cake of the best commissioner because he actually cares about his league. And I thought Roger Goodell does too. And this is not no taking away from that, but I just think he did a poor job. So you telling me Beth Wilkinson just went into your room or office and whatnot and said, okay, Washington did this, Washington did that, and you're going to tell me that's all she needed to say to get you to realize, oh, that only a $10 million fine? So you're telling me the people that came out, men and women, because I don't want to just classify women, men and women that came out of their shells, showed their faces on national TV and in front of cameras, and I'm pretty sure they didn't feel comfortable because they don't want to show themselves, but they did it. And you're telling me all you get is a $10 million fine for those people that were brave enough to show their faces and tell their stories, and all he gets is a $10 million fine and a removal of day-to-day operations, and obviously not to someone that he doesn't really know, but to his wife. Like you said, he could definitely be sitting at home, even though they're trying to make it seem like his wife is the one that's running the show now, and that's going to make a difference. It's not. It's literally his wife. He talks to her every day. I think they think we're dumb. Right. I think they think we're dumb, but we're too smart for that, man. Like I don't know what it is. Like I said, I'm more frustrated with the NFL and the way they handled this, because I think it was an act to, and I'm not even just saying this because of how bad he's been for our franchise, to the point with me being a fan, I want him gone off that. But I think this instance was bad enough for him to possibly sell the team, you know what I'm saying, or at least a portion of the team, but majority of the team, yeah, it wasn't no, you know, stuff like that with, or at least that we know of with other owners that have came out and, you know, said racist things and done some bad things with, you know, actually, you know, I don't want to say the word on here, but you know what I mean, as far as with girls and whatnot. This is kind of like that, but as we know, as of right now, it hasn't been nothing that came out of it, I guess you would say.
Right.
But like I said, man, I'm more frustrated with the NFL and the way they handle this, just because you're going to go off an oral report. Now, I do want to address the thing with the Junkies. You know, me and you, we both know we're in the same boat of the Junkies. We don't like them. But it is a thing out here in saying that they did have some type of paperwork where it was I guess a report on there about it. I don't know how true that is. I don't watch them anymore, so I don't know if they did have a show where they showed it or not. But apparently they have some news on there or some reporting on the paper. I don't know how true that is, but what do you think about the Junkies, quote unquote, having some reports about that, and it's actually not just an oral report?
Well, clearly somebody's lying. Clearly somebody's lying, whether it's the Junkies or whether it's the NFL. I would think to say, and I'm going to say it like this, probably both sides are lying. I don't think there was actually a source. I think somebody was speculating, and then the NFL, I think there is a written report, because that is crazy. They're trying to hide something. When you're that sloppy, like you said, somebody thinks people are stupid. You can't hide. What are you trying to hide? That's the first thing I was thinking is what in this was so damning that you were like, look, we just gotta say it's an oral report. It's in Beth, take your money. And I don't fault Beth Wilkinson, because she was doing a job. She was doing the job that she was paid to do. I can't that fault is on the NFL and the other 31 owners of the teams. That's on them. You kind of bring up with the Junkies and everything. I mean, let's be honest. The Junkies, they always wanted to tattoo this team anyway. Team did it themselves, but there's a lot of stuff. Dan Snyder, there is no smoking gun. I said this last year. You and I even talked about it, and that's the term I use. Where is the smoking gun? People compared this to Jerry Richardson. Jerry Richardson, there was smoking guns. There was proof and evidence of him calling people by racial slurs and misconduct in the workplace. That's why he had to sell. Dan wasn't going anywhere. Dan Snyder was not going anywhere, and we knew that after they approved the league approved the debt waiver. And then think about this one. Thursday, before the 4th of July, which is technically a lot of people's Fridays, why release it at 3:30 on Thursday before the July 4th holiday or before any holiday? Clearly, you wanted to brush this under the rug a little bit more, so you didn't have your top people on it. But guess what? Kevin Sheehan showed up to work today. Chris Russell, Pete Medhurst showed up to work today. They were on it. B. Mitch showed up to work today, and they were on it. Maybe they had vacation plans to take a 4-day weekend. So this was just terrible by the NFL and their PR situation. It was a joke. I mean, my goodness, it's never enough with this team, man. It is never enough to everything positive steps you think. It seems like we're just reliving last summer.
Right.
Yeah. That's I mean, but it is what it is in that respect. So a lot of fault, a lot of blame, and a lot of lies, and a lot of fog.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this whole show about this, but I do still have a few things to say about this, to the point where yeah, it's frustrating about, you know, like you said, about last summer and everything, about us taking one step back or taking one step forward and a million steps back. But I just want to take a second to say it's unfair to Ron Rivera. It's unfair to Jason Wright. It's unfair to Julie Donaldson. It's unfair to Jennifer King. It's unfair to the Hispanic lady that we just brought in to, somewhat change the culture on that side of the organization. Because the moment that I was starting to somewhat give Daniel Snyder credit, all this comes out to where I think he didn't do it out of generosity.
No. Oh, God, no.
He did it to try to say, hey, we're changing here. We're changing. Look, we brought in Jason Wright, the first black president. We brought in Jennifer King. We brought in Ron Rivera, a minority, a Hispanic descent. We did all this. We brought in Julie Donaldson, who's the head of the communications department. I'm thinking, okay, Ron, you really are changing. But clearly he's not. Clearly, he just did it to try to protect his brand, and it's sickening. It really is, because it's like, it's not fair to Ron Rivera. And I mainly say that to him because we expect Ron, and I'm pretty sure he's still going to do a good job, but we expect Ron to focus solely on football and try to win us Super Bowl rings and division titles. But you got to remember, he's literally the general manager. I know we obviously have that filled up now, but he overrides Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney. Maybe it wasn't that way in Carolina, but now he overrides them. He gets the last say so. And it's not fair to him. It really isn't. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks. It sucks. And when we thought that the guy was possibly going to have a chance to sell, or we thought it was going to sell, he hit us right in the mouth by, you know what, upping us one more by purchasing the whole entire franchise. 100% is Daniel Snyder's now. So you can kiss that dream goodbye. I never thought it was going to happen to begin with, but it's definitely not happening now. So that's enough of that. We had a great discussion of that, because I think if we continue to talk about that, this is going to be the whole show. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so much more that I want to say, and I'm pretty sure that you want to say. So let me get to the comment section. Brian Harding, shout out to you with the first comment. He has $10 million, but Goodell was careful not to touch the team. I think Roger personally likes watching the Cowboys take a whooping, but he won't admit it. And I mean, who doesn't enjoy the Cowboys taking a whooping? You know what I mean? Whether it's from us, from the Chargers on Thanksgiving a couple years back, who doesn't enjoy the Cowboys getting a whooping? You know what I'm saying? And I as much as I did think they did do a poor job that day, Roger Goodell did do a poor job with this whole situation. I'm glad they didn't take any draft picks from us, because it would have been unfair to, once again, Ron Rivera, because he's walking right in this situation only a year into it. 3-time Super Bowl champs with the comment. He says that's the reason Roger Goodell is for Snyder, is because he's a Cowboys fan. I don't know about that. I don't know if Roger Goodell is a Cowboys fan. I wouldn't knock it. You know what I'm saying? He probably is, but I don't know personally if he is a Cowboys fan. So, yeah. Dan Snyder, Brian Harding again says Dan made his bed rather when he became best buddies with Bruce. Yeah, I think we know Bruce was the man, the person who wore the pants in that relationship. Let me put it like that. We know Bruce ran it. You know what I'm saying? Septic says, I hope Washington picks up Aaron Rodgers tomorrow. Tomorrow? I don't know. I hope so, but I that don't look a little too likely, man. Maybe next offseason. Sergio says, what's up? What's going on? Tone, Redskins fan. O says, hello, guys. How you doing? What's going on? Tone says, Dan is stepping away from day-to-day operations. That's why Dan hired his wife as co-CEO. Yes, as we just discussed, it's really, in my opinion, it's really Dan Snyder still as the CEO. He's still making all the decisions. And not even for a year, Corey. They said several months. Several months. So this guy could be back at day-to-day operation. Not like we thought he left in the first place, but he could be back to day-to-day operations in October, in November. That's crazy, man. Shout out to Hawk. What's going on, man? Shout out to King Sean. Shout out to Jayla Gaskins up in here. Bruce or Dan Snyder Brian Harden says Dan was involved with somebody's stuff or some stuff, but I bet Bruce kept a lot of it under wraps. Yep, I can agree with that. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on that we still don't know of. Larry Michael is disgusting, and I
Yes.
really loved Larry Michael as the voice of the Washington football team back then. You know, Washington R words. I don't want to say it because YouTube and stuff, but yeah, it's crazy. But before we move on to the next segment, I want to say once again, make sure you guys subscribe to me, hit that like button on this live stream, and share it out to your friends and family that are Washington football team fans. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers over here. And also, if you guys want to take that extra step, hit that donation button, that money sign, and donate any amount. It helps out the channel. And also, if you want to take that extra step again, hit that link in the description that takes you to the Cash App. You can also do that. And also, subscribe to my man on the Warpath. He's also on the road to 1,000 subscribers. His link is in the description. We are both working very hard, and I appreciate you guys for being here, supporting us. It's always good to chop it up about the Washington football team. Now, on to the better part of the show. On to the better part of the show. This is the last month, or even 28, 29 days from now, the team will be taking the field for training camp. Now, that's where we really get to have some fun. Let me know what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to in training camp. Me personally, seeing the fans back out there is one of them. But I'll let you go first as far as on the field, what are you most excited to see for training camp?
I think I really this offensive line that who's going to win the left guard battle, because I think you've got three viable options there: Eric Flowers, Wes Schweitzer, and Sadiq Charles if he's healthy. Charles Leno, where does he work in at that left tackle spot? Chase Roulier, Brandon Sheriff is a lock for the most part, not for the most part, they are locks. And then the right tackle spot, is it going to be Cornelius Lucas, or is it going to be Sam Cosmi? I hate the fact that Morgan Moses was let go, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and you got to go with what you're rolling with. They're very high on Cosmi. I trust the offensive line coach there and Matsko and his assistant Travell Wharton. They got this offensive line to be cohesive behind in front of four different quarterbacks and managed to win the division. So I really want to see how this offensive line is going to shape up and who's going to take the reins. What's going to be your starting five come week one?
Yeah, definitely. And before we continue, I just want to say, Brian Harding, I apologize. I never knew this to be the case, but you're now a mod on my channel. I thought you've been a mod. Why didn't you never say anything? You're always here.
Oh, wow.
You should have said, A1, why don't I have a ranch yet? Because I personally thought you had one. I was wondering why it's not popping up, and maybe that's just StreamYard, because I'm pretty sure King Sean has one too, and I don't see his either. But I had to go back on the channel, and it says you're not a moderator, and I apologize for that. But now, my man, you're a moderator. Go ahead and show off that blue ranch in the chat. I appreciate you for being here each and every week, each and every video. You're always there. Shout out to you, my man. But back onto the conversation. I'm glad you brought this up, because I actually want to start with the offensive line. Like you said, I'm more intrigued to see that left guard to be exact, to be specific, because you have Wes Schweitzer, you have Eric Flowers, who you just traded for again, and who welcome back to our team. You have obviously Sadiq Charles, and you have a lot of stuff right there that can play for that left guard spot. That's going to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because I would like to think Wes Schweitzer is the head dog, but maybe Eric Flowers or even Sadiq Charles. I know a lot of people forget, but Sadiq Charles we drafted to be a left tackle. He could be a left tackle, but since he's so small and his reach isn't that long, he better fits the left guard position, and he could be a person who could be the left guard of the future. But I'm glad you brought that up here, because like I said, the offensive line is going to be new, relatively new. Yeah, we have Chase Roulier come back, who we just paid. We have Brandon Sheriff, who I personally don't think we're going to give a long-term extension to. I think he's just milking us for all the money that he can get. Because why would he, unless we're signing him, and we'll get more into this later in the show, but unless we're signing him to something more than what he's making this year, I don't see him signing. You're telling me he's made $15 million last year? He's set to make $18 million this year, and you're going to double down or triple down actually next year and try to offer him a long-term contract and only pay him $14 million? He's not going to sign that.
No.
So unless we're signing him to $19, $20 million per year contract, he's not signing here. And I really, as much as I love Brandon Sheriff, as much as I think how good he is, and appreciate him fighting through injuries for us and All Pro and stuff like that. Who people may think it was a Mickey Mouse All Pro award because he really didn't play that well, because he was hurt for most of the time. But we'll let people discuss how they feel about that. But essentially, what I'm saying is 19-20 million for a contract per year is not a good, in my opinion, for a guy like Brandon Sheriff. I love Brandon Sheriff, but I don't want to be paying him that much money. I don't even like the thought of paying him $18 million this year on the franchise tag. I was thinking to let him walk. But back on track to the conversation, like I said, you know what I'm saying? Center and right guard is the only people that are returning back. Like with you, I'm kind of sad that Morgan Moses was gone. I was thinking that he could have came and been a part of this too. And the only thing that we would have to worry about was the left side. But now we have to worry about the right side. I know a lot of people think Samuel Cosme will be the starting right tackle, or even Cornelius Lucas for that matter. But it's a question mark. It's unknown at this point, and I don't feel comfortable about that. I would have liked to be comfortable for at least one side of my tackle positions to know Morgan Moses is out there. Morgan Moses is the guy, and I cannot wait to see him perform in New York alongside Mekhi Becton, because Morgan Moses should have never been gone. But I totally understand the guy was only making $7 million last year, and I guess didn't he say that it was a cap? Something with the cap that they wanted to take away. I don't know. I think it was BS just to cover it up. But Morgan Moses should never been gone. But I don't want to hang on too much of that. Let's just talk about what is here, because me and Corey love Morgan Moses, and we can talk about him for days.
Yeah, it's true.
and no shots to my man DMV Sports Zone, but we got a segment for you too, buddy, because it's a lot that I didn't agree with yesterday with what you said, man, especially about Morgan Moses and talking about Brandon Sheriff being the best player on the team. Come on, Natty. I know it's your opinion. If you're not out there right now, I'm pretty sure you'll watch it. I'll send you the link. But we got a lot to talk about. I got to get you on the show, my man, because, man.
Yeah.
Brandon Sheriff.
Hey, he threw that shade at me, man. That was a 2-day thing working on. I told him, I said, look, we're not going to agree on this. We're not going to agree on this. Now, if you want to say, like you said, Terry, right? And I can have a discussion and relinquish to a discussion on Terry before I will with Brandon Sheriff, because Terry plays through injuries. Historically, he's played in last year. He had them 2 bad ankles and was still playing at a decent level.
Right.
I say Chase Young is a transformative talent, and I think that's number one, because this defensive line was all intact pretty much. You add Chase Young, add Jack Del Rio, top 5 defense.
Yep.
That's kind of how I look at it, like that. But
you know, and
Naughty won't win that one.
Yeah, and hey, man, wow! Shout out to Redskins 007. I haven't seen you in a while, man. It's been a while. I'm glad you're doing okay, and what a way to welcome yourself back, because you were the man last year, always here. And like I said, I haven't seen you in a while, and it's great to see you once again, my man. And I really do appreciate this donation. He dropped the big 20 for us, Corey. So let's read what the man of the hour, Redskins 007, have to say. He says, I think the team is headed in the right direction. Snyder deserves some credit. Ron and the coaching, Coach Del Rio, have the young team inspired. We need at least one playoff win this year to be able to call it a successful season. I agree with majority of that comment. I mean, yeah, okay, I agree with all of it, because I'm not gonna lie. I said Dan deserves some credit, but his credit is like, here, Dan, you take a little bit, but then you give me some back, because I want to give him credit for the hire of Ron Rivera, but at the same time, that's something you should have done. Well, no, I got it mixed up. I'll give him credit for the Ron Rivera hire, but what I meant to say was Bruce Allen. He should have been gone. So I'll give you a little bit of credit for firing Bruce, but at the same time, give it to me right back, because you should have been done that. That is something you should have been done 10 years ago, or I don't want to say 10 years ago, because he was first hired a decade ago. Let's say 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So once again, Redskin 007, I agree with everything you had to say, and I really, really do appreciate the $20 donation. If you guys want to be like my man Redskin 007 and donate to the channel, hit that channel, that money sign in the link or in the comment section. Any amount is welcome, and I will have your message on the screen to read aloud. And also, to finish out with your sandwich or comment, we need one playoff win for it to be a successful season. I totally agree with that, actually.
Yes.
I'm not even going to lie, because I know a lot of people, and including me, I think Dallas is still the favorite to win this division because they had the better offense, and not because of their weapons. That plays a part in it, but of their quarterback. If we had Dak Prescott, we're winning the division, and we can still win the division with Ryan Fitzpatrick or Taylor, but just because of the unknown, I have to give it to Dallas as of right now. That can always change by week 5. We can be the guys to win the division. We can be the favorites, and a lot of people have us as the favorites. Dan Orlovsky, Nate Bertelsen gives us a lot of credit. You know what I'm saying? So even though, like I said, to at least start the season, I think Dallas is the favorites, but we could be the favorites. But I totally agree. Whether we get in the division by winning this division, or if we get in by a wild card, we need to win at least one playoff game to call it a successful season. So like I said, I really do appreciate with the donation. Redskins 007 means a lot, and I'm glad to see you coming back around. What do you want to add on to that end of the comment, Corey, to where he said that it needs to be a successful season if we get one playoff win?
Yeah, I think he's absolutely right, because Juan, I think the last time we won a playoff game was back in 2005. And a lot of people, a lot of young fans don't remember that. I remember it. I was in high school, but so I think I was a freshman. Yeah, I was a freshman in high school when that happened. And I mean, that was the worst offensive performance in a win in, I think, playoff history up until that point. So, yeah, I think Redskin 007 is totally correct that we need a playoff win. I would even double down and say we need 2 in this situation, especially since you're playing week 1. Most likely, Washington can be a playoff team, win the division, host a playoff game. They're not going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Let's be real right there. And then Snyder deserves credit. Yeah.
It sucks, but we have to give it to him, man.
Yeah. I don't get, you don't get credit for getting your car out of a ditch when you call AAA and you the one that you drove it in. You don't get credit for that. Well, I got it out. No, AAA did that. You had to call AAA to come and get that. Ron Rivera's AAA. He came to rescue you, pull you out the ditch. So, but they got to, but he is right. Ron and Jack and all these guys have these young kids inspired. And for the first time, I think in my life, this team looks fast, Juan. Mm-hmm. Like, years have went by where this team used to look old and slow, especially during the Shanahan years. That year we had RG3, right? Mm-hmm. The offense was fast because of RG3. But the defense was kind of old and slow. So man, I like the direction we're going in, and but we'll give Dan credit. Thanks for keeping burgundy and gold.
He barely did that.
Hey, but he kept the colors, man. He kept the colors, brother. That's all we can say. I'm giving him credit. See, I'm trying to be nice. Y'all know I'm petty, so I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah, and basically, like you said, with our teams now becoming fast. Back then, 2012 season, all I can remember as speed as far as that team was RG3, maybe Aldrich Robinson, Santana Moss, maybe. You could throw Pierre in there, but Pierre was more of a possession, big body receiver. Logan Paulson, not really fast. Defensive wise, you're definitely right. Who was fast on that defense? Really no one. You know what I'm saying? So
D'Angelo Hall was fast at getting to the injury report.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
He teased me. Remember, I don't know if it was a 22 or 2013 season, but he balled out. It wasn't the Chicago game where he obviously had all those interceptions, was
That
it?
was
No.
10. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
2010.
that
Yeah.
was 2010. But I think we played them again in Chicago, and he had a hell of a game. I remember watching that game because I wasn't at home and I watched it on one of the TVs. I think it was D Hall that had a phenomenal game. It was, like I said, it wasn't that game where he picked off Jay Cutler multiple times, but I think it was 2012. And yeah, man. So reminiscing off that one good year, and that's probably the only year in 2015, obviously, but that's the only 2 years that I've really experienced Washington being somewhat good. You know what I'm saying? Because 2005, as you mentioned, I was 2. Yep. I was 2 years old when 2005, so I don't remember that. I remember the Jason Campbells in 08 have been terrible. I remember that game in Oakland. We were terrible. Oh man, it's been rough for me. It's been rough. It's been rough for all of us. But for me, since I ain't seen us be good consistently ever, it's been real rough. But
neither have I. I haven't seen it, dude. I was just barely a year old when they beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl. So I mean that go to tell you, I'm showing my age here a little bit, but yeah, man, I haven't seen sustained success. I mean, the only really sustained success we've had is 15, where we went 9-7, and then 16, you were at 8-7-1. So that was the last time we had back-to-back winning seasons since Joe Gibbs's era.
Oh man, I don't even want you to bring up that 16 year, because that 16 year it was so painful. We got to talk about it now. New York. Yeah. I'm on the phone. Me and my friend, we used to watch the games together on like on a call while we were like, hey man, you see that play? We watched the game on our separate TVs in our house, but we were on the phone. I'm like, Kirk, man, okay, Kirk. He's like, I'm like, hey man, mute your TV or mute your phone because you're a little faster than mine. Kirk Cousins drops back, looking, fires, no one open across the middle, intercepted. Downing Roger Cromartie. I literally, I cried. I swear to you, I lie to you not. I literally shedded a tear. I shedded a tear, and it was just heartbreaking because why? Not only did we not capitalize off that, but why couldn't the Giants just let us in, man? Why not? We would have set the record for having the most teams in the playoffs from one division. Remember, that's the year the Cowboys went 13-3. That's the year the Giants went 10-6 or 11-5. I can't remember which one. But then they lost to Green Bay. They partying with their shirts off. They're warming up with no shirt on. I think who would we have played that year? Would it been Dallas?
It wouldn't have been good. No, it would have been Seattle. We would have went to Seattle. Detroit backed into that last playoff spot that year, I believe. So we would have went to Seattle. So and just
but Seattle was they weren't the number one seed, were they? Or were they?
No.
Were they?
Remember, Dallas had a bye week, right?
Oh,
Dallas
had
a bye week. Yeah, Dallas had a bye week that year.
You know, I'm so accustomed to now it only being one bye week per one seed. You know how that new playoff stuff is going to work now. But yeah, so yeah, man, that's rough. And I not to really take us back because I know we want to focus on the new era, but another game where I cried, the Saints game where we had a late breakdown where we should have won that game, but I cried. Picture in my phone of me crying, a legit tear. The Tennessee game really wasn't. I didn't cry on that game, but I was sad because Josh Johnson, man, what a story that would have been if he would have been able to lead us to the playoffs. Countless times, man.
I'm going to tell you this, and the old folks and the older people tell you this too. You just get numb to it after a while, man. I get mad in the moment, and then I'm like, I say, whatever. I get upset. On to the next one. I did that a lot. Did that a lot last year, even though we won the division. But I get where you're coming from. I remember those games vividly. I remember the Saints game. I called my mom and said, oh my God, we're actually going to do this again. And then 20 minutes later,
Mason Foster couldn't make a tackle.
And couldn't get that first down with Samaje Perine. Also, you what other game did you mention?
The Giants game.
Yeah, the Giants game. Yeah, and in 2018 at Tennessee, where you pretty much played them well, knocked Mariota out of the game. Remember? And Blaine Gabbert came in and led them on a comeback.
I'm thinking we got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
thinking we
Oh,
got
I
it.
know, man. I know. Shoot, no lies told here, buddy. No
Yep.
lies told.
Yep, and definitely, like you said, you get numb to it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, I don't know if it was 17 or 16. No, it wasn't. It had to be one of those years. We were just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
We went to LA or San Diego, and we got our,
Yep.
we got kicked. We got
Yep.
kicked, and I'm just sitting there laughing the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even mad. I was just laughing at how terrible that was. I can't remember what year that was.
That was 17.
17.
Yep.
17.
That was
Yep.
17. That was one of Kirk's last games in Bergen and Gold.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, it's been rough, and sorry to go off a little tangent here, but we had to reminisce. We had to reminisce. Let me go to some of the comments here. Jonathan Oliver says Tanya is about to take over in the team and just watch. Now, I don't think so, and it's kind of unfair to his wife too, because she's now thrown in the spotlight and she ain't do nothing. She ain't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think Tanya's going to take over and watch, because it's basically Dan Snyder. You know what I'm saying? So I disagree with that. Joshua says, hello, what's going on, Joshua? How are you doing, my man? Big Low Jr. says Washington going to be trash. Okay. What's your squad, Big Low Junior? You know what I'm saying? Let me know who your team is. Washington is going to be something. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I messed up your comment. I thought you were saying we were going to be trash, but then now you're saying we're going to be something special this year. I'm confused.
That's Henry right there. I see.
So he's a Titans fan. Okay, that's good. But he said we're going to be trash, but then he says we're going to be something special this year. So I'm confused. And I can't say nothing about the Titans, man. I don't got no hate towards the Titans besides that one year y'all beat us that we just talked about. But yeah, so Abel says, who's an all-time underrated Washington player? That's a lot of those. I mean, Santana Moss could be considered underrated. If you're talking from a whole entire NFL as them being underrated to the whole entire NFL. You can throw Randy Moss in there, in my opinion. Oh, not Randy Moss, Santana Moss. God, I wish we had Randy Moss. Santana Moss, you can consider him underrated. Let me think, because in my time, it hasn't been a whole bunch of underrated players for Washington. But I'm pretty sure in Corey's time, it's been a lot of underrated Washington players, or have it. You know, I'm trying to think. You can throw Santana on there, in my opinion.
Oh, we know. Here you go. Here's one right now. I'm just thinking of. One just right now. London Fletcher. London Fletcher, man. I mean, people talk good about London Fletcher, but when you put his numbers up to people like Ray Lewis and everything, it took him until like his 13th season to get into the Pro Bowl. And the guy didn't miss a game for like 12 years.
Yep.
He's got to be one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated player in Washington's history in the NFL, man. London Fletcher, I mean, that is one guy right there who is severely underrated as far as, talent goes and being that mainstay on defense, consistent, man. Stayed healthy, couldn't make.
Yep, I agree with that. And maybe Brian Arakpo could he be one? I know that could be a little tricky here and there with some people. I'm trying to think. Has there been? And I don't know. People could back me up on this. That watched football back then. But was John Riggins? Was he underrated during this time, or was he, one of the main top dogs to the whole NFL as them looking at him?Maybe. I would like to think he was, because during that time we were really, really good. I'm trying to. It's tough, and it sucks that we have to think so hard. That should show you how bad these teams have been. Dang. I think that can't be it. But off the top of my head, could Kirk be underrated? Maybe. I don't know.
Brian Mitchell is one. I think the guy. I mean, he was like, for the longest time, he had the all-purpose yardage record before Jerry Rice broke it, and then, punt return. He was arguably probably a top 5 returner of all time. He's just overshadowed by Devin Hester, maybe Deion Sanders in some regards. But I think Brian Mitchell is one. Brian makes a good point down here. I think Fred Smoot at times was underrated. But I think a lot of his issues were for his issues was like the Love Boat and everything. So and able to Art Monk I mean, Art Monk is not the most underrated player. He's the most disrespected player, I think, that we've ever had on this. The fact that he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer is disgusting. But that's another argument for another day.
Yeah. Hey, so shout out to my man Tone Redskins Washington football team. Oh, how are you doing? Thank you for the $10 donation. I appreciate it so much. It means a lot, my man. Thank you so much. So he has this to say to us, Corey. He says, have we improved our tight ends and our offensive line from last season to this all season? And I'm so interested in the wide receiver and tight end battle for the training camp. I remember in 2012, I watched the NFC Championship and we won, or the NFC East Championship game, and we won. Yeah, so to kick off that, and once again, I really do appreciate the $10 donation. If you guys want to be like my man Tone Redskin Ho or 007, make sure you guys hit that money sign. Any amount is welcome, so you guys can get your chat or your comment here up on the big screen. So to answer that first part of the question, have we improved our tight end and offensive line from last year? Well, to answer the easy part, the tight end, yes, we definitely improved the tight end position because outside of Logan Thomas, who did we have last year? Jeremy Sprinkle. We tried to throw in Tamarick Hemingway. You know what I'm saying? And other than that, we really didn't have no one else. But now you look at it, we have Logan Thomas, the lead dog, obviously. We have John Bates, who surprisingly surprised the coaching staff and Pete Honer and his ability to catch the ball, so he can be a threat in the passing game. Then you have, hopefully, Samus Reyes can eventually be something in the next 3 to 5 years. Then you have Ricky Seals-Jones, or who could be possibly some help. So definitely, we upgraded the tight end room vividly this all season. And offensive line, I'm trying to think, because last year it was Chase, it was Brandon, it was Moses, it was Wes Schweitzer for a little bit, then it was Cornelius Lucas. I honestly think, well, as of right now, I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next month. They can very well be way better than last year, but as of right now, I think last year's offensive line was better, in my opinion. To at least as of right now, because like I said, I can't tell you what's going to happen from months now on. Samuel Cosme could very well be something special at the right side or even left side. Eric Flowers, if he gets to start at left guard, could be something special. Charles Leno could be something good for us too. But as of right now, I think, in my opinion, last year's offensive line was better as of right now. And he also said, I'm so interested in the wide receiver and tight end battle. Same here. And he remembers watching the NFC Championship and we won. So what do you want to answer about the first two questions that he had? Has we improved the tight end and offensive line room?
I think, yeah, any functional adult would probably improve that tight end room after Jeremy Sprinkle only had one catch last year. It was legitimately Logan Thomas and a bunch of offensive linemen. And when I say offensive linemen, it's just guys that just stood in there and blocked pretty much. We thought Marcus Ball was actually going to be something. Tamarick Hemingway, I think, he had one nice catch against the Rams. But other than that, the tight ends were terrible. Logan Thomas, who isn't a tight end by trait. He's a converted tight end from quarterback. He was the best free agent tight end last year in the NFL. And you take the notes, you look at that. And let me see what else it is. And I can't really speak about the offense line just yet because we got to see how cohesive they are together. And then he said he's interested in the wide receiver. Yeah, I think wide receiver battle. And just for correction, that wasn't the NFC Championship. That was the NFC East Championship game against Dallas. That was in Week 17. So make sure you clarify that, T.O.
I wish.
Yes, indeed, man. That ain't no lie.
Hey, shout out to Khalil Young. How are you doing? Appreciate the comment. He says, how are you doing, everybody? I'm not a crackhead. Warpath in quotation marks. Let's see here.
Okay.
Let's see here. Redskin 007 says our fan base was bad. It's getting stronger this year, or this our year, to prove we belong in the conversation. Honestly, our fan base, I think our fan base is loyal, so loyal. But 2019 was just it. You know what I'm saying? They checked out, and could you blame them? Because this team has been terrible for decades plus now, and we have a loyal fan base. I really do think we have one of the best fan bases in NFL. But for us being bad so long under the DANSNYDER era, they just checked out, and now with us possibly being good again, you'll see the fans start popping out again. You'll see FedEx Field rocking. I would like to think it's going to be rocking. If gotta see how we do versus the Chargers week 1. But I would like to think it's going to be rocking that Thursday night 8:15 versus the New York Giants. I would like to think so, but we could see it very well being the same thing as it's been. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're like, hey, you didn't prove us nothing really last year. You got to prove it to us again last year. Maybe we'll come out next year or later during the year. But I would like to think that we're going to be rocking. It's going to be all burgundy, maybe 90-10 burgundy, and the 10% being Giants fans, or 80-20 or 70-30. But it could very well be 60-40 Giants fans, 70-20 Washington fans. Like I said, they didn't see anything. Maybe they didn't see enough to tune back in. But I think our fan base is loyal, but they just checked out. But you made a good point. They'll definitely be back if we're good again. Shout out to Heisby Ball. He says what's going on. Perry says London Fletcher is very underrated. And as Corey said too. Tono says London Fletcher is really underrated. He hasn't missed a game at all. Tono says Chris Cooley.
He was good in his time. I mean, he made a Pro Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. But he wasn't great. He was really good. He was a really good tight end for what we had here, and he's probably top 3 in all time in team history. But I don't know in the annals of the league where you had Antonio Gates at that time in his prime. Tony Gonzalez was still really good. You had a couple. Jeremy Shockey was still a presence during that time. Greg Olsen was kind of on the. I don't think Greg Olsen was kind of later on in 07. But you had some tight ends. Dallas Clark was one who, a couple of them that come to mind that just were like, these guys are pretty good. Jason Witten. Jason Witten was a daggone good tight end. So.
Yeah. Yep. So Perry says Mike Sellers, Sean Springs are for a little while Marcus Washington as a couple of underrated Washington football team / Washington R words has some underrated players here. So yep, I agree with what Corey had to say. Tone says 2019 was so bad, man. I wish I saw the disaster, but I'm staying loyal. Yeah, 2019 was probably. I'm trying to think. In my time of watching, 2019 and 2013 were terrible. But I do think 2013 was worse, just because of what we thought was going to happen coming off that 2012 season. But me personally, like I was very young in 2012, but I obviously remembered every game. I remember watching every single game. I remember watching RG3's game. But me, I cared. I was hurt when we lost that 2012 playoff game. But I was a kid, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna come back next year and be good. But I was able to witness, really sink in, and really care, and really know my stuff about the Washington football team now because I'm older. And that 2019 season, it hurt. It really did. It hurt. You know what I'm saying? And going outside in your Washington Redskins gear. Oh, sorry, YouTube. I had to say it. I was gonna say it one time, but going outside in your Washington gear, being embarrassed, 3-13, 0-6 at the time when we played the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Just getting laughed at for being a Washington fan, it did hurt. You know what I'm saying? So it's glad to see things starting to change. So getting back to what I really had us wanting to talk about, the training camp battles. As you mentioned, the left guard being more specific, but as a whole, the offensive line. I also want to talk about what are your biggest concerns headed into training camp? Because we discovered what you're most excited to see, but what is your biggest concern headed into training camp?
Juan, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh, God. I think you know where I'm going to go with this.
Let me guess. Go
ahead. Let's see.
Is it quarterback?
Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Yeah. Yes. Lord have mercy. Quarterback is the biggest is my biggest concern. And the reason why I say quarterback is we've seen, I say this all the time. Just think of your favorite movie. After a while, the shock value goes out. The shock value goes out. If you ever seen from my old heads, have you ever seen Psycho, the movie Psycho from the 60s, right? We thought Norman Bates' mom was alive, and he was actually his mom dressed up in his mom's stuff. This is what the shock value is gone with Ryan Fitzpatrick. We know he's Norman Bates. We know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. And the people that trust Ryan Fitzpatrick, well, he's got the best this, that, and the third around him. He had a young DeAndre Hopkins, somewhat in the twilight of his career, but still in a good spot. Andre Johnson had Arian Foster. They only managed 7 wins that year. In his best year was 10-6 in 2015, right? With the Jets. Need to win 1 game. Had to go up to Buffalo and do it. Team that had let him go after giving him a big contract, pretty much. He couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done against Rex Ryan. You look at over the last few years, he hasn't started a complete season since 2015. And we're trying to trust a 38-year-old quarterback to take us to the promised land with an extra game this year. That's my problem. And then you have Taylor Heinicke, who did great against Tampa. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I need a larger sample size. Can he stay healthy? He has a history of injuries all throughout his career. And you look at it, Juan, do you know this? Even it does not matter in the NFC East if Washington starts Fitzpatrick or Heinicke, they will still have the oldest quarterback in the NFC East by age. Yep. Because Heinicke is older than Dak Prescott. So that's my big thing. And then Kyle Allen, I don't really consider him. Steve Montez, and I don't consider those guys really relevant to that conversation. And it could be, they could come out and surprise us. But that, I am definitely afraid of quarterback. And if I'm wrong, that's my biggest thing is I hope I'm wrong, because I will sit here and get a bucket of crow and I will eat it live for an hour. I will sit there and I will eat it. But I've seen enough out of Ryan Fitzpatrick that's just like, this ain't the guy, man. This is not a guy that can get you to the promised land.
Yep. And I totally agree with everything you said. I mean, as you guys know that's in here, I'm not the biggest Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. When we first signed him, I was terrible about it. I really wasn't happy when we signed him, but I tried to let it warm up and try to, give hope. And what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? They don't care that I'm going to complain about it. They don't care. So I have to deal with it. He's my he's on my favorite team. He's the quarterback now, so I have to deal with it. And everything you said, like now, and I don't fault Washington fans for doing this, because they want to believe, they want to hope that he can lead us to the promised land, I guess. But it's just crazy to think now in year 17, you think now all of a sudden he's just going to get it. Right. You know what I'm saying? He's played for almost the majority of the league. It feels like a million teams, and it's only teams. But now it seems like in year 17, you just expect him to get it. And I don't know. I hope he does, but it's just like we seen this movie before. Like you said, you know what I'm saying? We it seems like we know what we got out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. We want to hope it's something different and somehow he shocks us, but we know what we're getting out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know what I'm saying? We've seen this movie before. It's like as you made it your point. It's one of the movies that you constantly see, on BET. If you guys watch that, they constantly show the same movies over and over again. And it's to the point where you can just, you can basically almost recite every line. You know what I'm saying? So with Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's like, oh, don't get your hopes up, man. Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for 4 touchdowns, 465 yards, went 18 for 31. Okay, cool.
5 INTs, maybe. And I mean, it's very possible that he can do this. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, as many games as he can win you, he can lose it. He can lose it for you too. And I think that another argument, Shannon Sharp brought this up too, about a month or two ago. for Ryan Fitzpatrick, every time the expectations are low, he rises to the occasion. When they're high, he wilters. So he's not being, and this is another thing, Juan. The man has never really been around winning outside of that moment with the Jets, right? You think, and he's played for a third of the league. So he doesn't really know what winning is. You can't fault him for that, but that's just how it is. He's never signed on with like a Pittsburgh or a team that's really been good to back up a quarterback. It's always been about him being a starter or with an opportunity to start. And it hasn't worked for him. And I say this, week 1 at 14 is the starter. You and I gonna say this right now. He's our quarterback. He's my quarterback. Like I'm not gonna stray away from it. I don't want him to fail. There are some people that say I want him to fail. Like that's ignorant. That is the most ignorant thing I have ever heard. You want your team to fail. If they succeed with Fitzpatrick, they succeed with him. Do I think it's gonna happen? No. But I'm gonna roll with him. He gonna be my guy. Fitzmagic, I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for Fitzmagic, glitter and glam, dude. No lies told.
Yep, and I'm totally there with you.
Yeah.
A lot of people just think us keeping it real, means that we want him to fail. Just because we're not just because we're not up here kissing his behind and saying, "Oh, he's had these 2 years that are so good. He's the best quarterback under pressure." And that's one thing I want to say. I don't want to say next gen stats aren't real, but I don't care about next gen stats. He's the best quarterback under pressure. He's the best quarterback with getting he gets the ball out of his hands the quickest. I don't care. I don't care about that.
Look at that sample size too, Juan. Look at the sample size. He has a smaller sample size than the rest of those quarterbacks in that listing. Like I think they say he's better than Mahomes, but he's got like half the snaps that Mahomes has.
Right.
So is that really like if we boil that down a little bit farther, is he really the third best, or is he something a little bit lower?
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point right there. That is a great point. Yeah, and also with that being said, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like I said, I don't want him to fail. I want him to be successful. I want him to lead us to the promised land. But I just want you guys to pump your brakes because it's not. I don't want to say it's not likely, but I can't wait to see September because I know how it's going to happen. I know how it's going to happen, Corey. I know how it is. We're going to go into a game with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're going to come back. We're going to get our doors blown off, or he's going to cost us a game in which we should have won. He's going to throw a backbone pick, and they're going to come back crying. They're going to come back saying, "Oh, get Fitzpatrick out of here. He's terrible." I was telling you this in March. I was telling you this in April. I was telling you this in June, July, that you got to prepare yourself. So it's not that I want him to fail. That's not true. I'm a fan of this team, and whoever's on there playing for this team, I'm going to root for. But you got to be real. You know what I'm saying? You got to be real. So let me get to some of these comments here. Brian Harding says, eventually, Heineke will start no matter what, or is this a matter of when, rather? And that's true. Whether Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt, and let me say this now, I don't wish injury on nobody. If he gets pulled, I hope it's because of poor performance, but he's going to get pulled at some point. You're definitely right. He never makes it through a full season. Tono says, I want Taylor Heineke to start over Ryan, and I know Ryan has his 50-50. He isn't not consistent enough to win. Yeah, and that's true. Like I said, like Corey just said, he'll give you a game of 18 for 31, 465 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns, like I mentioned. But he'll give you a game where he's throwing, we're down, and he has to throw let's say 27 for 54 and 5 interceptions and 1 touchdown. It's like, dude, come on. And one thing I want to bring up, and a lot of people has made a good point of this, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he feels as though he's Superman. He goes out there and makes a phenomenal play, right? He makes a phenomenal play, and it's so good to where the next play he throws an interception, and it's probably because he thinks he's Superman. You know what I'm saying? And people make a lot of good points on that. Now, the next comment that I want to read here is from Brian Harden. He says Fitz likely putting a lot of pressure on himself too. He knows it's now or never for his career. Yeah, that's true. That is true, and I feel like now or never has been passed for Fitzpatrick. I feel like Fitzpatrick knows he's not going to be the starter for the whole year. Now, of course, does that mean he's not going to try to be? No, that's not true. He's going to try to be a starter for the whole year, but it's not likely like it's going to happen. I highly doubt it. Let's get to more of these comments. Someone says, "Have you looked at Ryan's stats over the past seasons?" Yeah, I looked at it, and I believe he has over like 38,000 passing yards, and he has a lot of touchdowns, but he also has a lot of interceptions, you know, and yeah, so it's very I guess I don't know what a big question mark I want to say for Ryan Fitzpatrick, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it just bleeds off the paper, man. It's like you don't want to come off as a hater, and like y'all got to think about this. Juan and I, we stream these games. We sit through here, win, loss, or draw. Why would we not want to sit through a winning live stream? Like that's the greatest thing. I mean, we lost more than we won, but we won a division.
All right.
Like when we did the Cowboys live streams when we swept them, oh my God, those were the best times. So if Fitz can do that, more power to him. I love it. But like I said, caution. Surgeon General Kevin Sheehan said it about being a fan of the Washington football team. There's a Surgeon General warning. Dan Snyder owns the team. There's a Surgeon's General warning with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yes, he may make spectacular plays, but he can also cough it up and turn it over in a minute as well, too.
And I totally agree with what you said right there. And it's gonna be exciting to see. I mean, it's gonna be exciting to see. And like you said, you brought up the point last year to where you said that we stream these games. We want to see this team win. The Pittsburgh game last year is my favorite one, and you can go back and see me screaming. Hold on. We have a special guest here. We have a special guest here.
I just got my mommy fan.
Uh-oh.
I think my mom is glad. My dad commented.
Hold
on. Let me finish.
Hey, that'll
this,
get you over three. That'll get you over 3,000 right there, Juan.
You want to be the star of the show? You want to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick? All right, let me finish this. All right.
No, let me better too.
Yeah. So, like you said, with everything going on, hold on.
My
Okay.
turn to do this.
Hold on. Okay.
Okay.
You got it. All right. So, like you said, everything that happened last year.
This
You gonna let me talk?
You have me talk?
You gonna let me talk? Okay. So, like you said last year with the Steelers game, to be exact, that was my favorite. The Montez Sweat play. I literally screamed. And you guys could go back and see that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can see that. And yeah, so like I said, it's gonna be fun to see, but it's also, I gotta warn you, it's gonna be a lot of woes with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, so let's go ahead and close the show. As you can see, hold on, let me take care of this
my
turn. So he's taking care of that. Khalil says Fitzpatrick, it's fine. Just remember, I hope you have a lot. I hope you have a lot of weapons. Do you need points? He's not a rookie. That is a pass for Fitzpatrick. We'll see the future. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't hate the guy. Don't get me wrong when I say the critic. And I'm not. It's not really criticism. It's just what we've seen over time. And let's see here. Tom Brady is the GOAT, not Waffles Head Mahomes. Be honest with me. Would you rather be a Patriots fan or be a fan of best ran franchise in sports, or would you rather be a Washington fan, a fan of the worst ran franchise in sports? be honest with you, that's my team. That's my team. That's where I'm from. I'm gonna root for them all the time. So there we go. Back to Juan.
Says little sis is taking over the stardom. It's actually my niece. Actually, my niece. You know what I'm saying?
Uncle Juan.
She wanted to be the star of the show, and I had to let her be that for a couple minutes. But to actually close out the show, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this because you're not subscribed for this, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the Nationals, man. But before we do that, we got to discuss Naughty. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I know he'll see this. I'll send him the video. But not only did he give you a slap in the face by saying Morgan Moses was not, he didn't say he's trash, but he said it was, he not good. But he doubled down and said Brandon Sheriff is the best player on the Washington football team. I already know what you said about that, but I got to get Natty on the show to talk about this. Brandon Sheriff is not the best player on this team. Top 5, maybe. That's even arguable in my opinion, but I think he'll make it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Chase Young is 1A and 1B with Terry McLaurin, in my opinion. But if you're talking solely between Brandon Sheriff and Chase Young being the best player on this team, it's Chase Young. And I understand you're saying he only had 1 year under his belt as a player, and that's true. You know what I'm saying? That's true as to what you're saying, but you got to understand, look at the impact he had. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love Brandon Sheriff, he's never had that impact that Chase Young has had. 2015, when we signed him, nobody's jumping up and down and saying, oh, we got Brandon Sheriff from Iowa. Oh, my God, he's going to come here and be a stud. Chase Young, he's a cornerstone. He's a franchise piece. He literally came in his first day as a Washington football team member. You can see he somewhat changed the culture. His first game, I believe he had 3 sacks or 2 maybe?
Chase,
1.5.
Chase had 2, didn't he?
Yeah, 2 sacks. And he immediately made an impact. He's a guy that's going to win you ball games. Brandon Sheriff isn't going to win you a ball game. What are you going to say? Oh, man. And maybe he can if he opens up a great hole for a running back, but nobody's going to look at Brandon Sheriff on that play. You know what I'm saying? So Brandon is top 5, maybe, but he's not number 1. He's not the best player on this team. Come on, man.
Right.
Let's be real. It's your opinion. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to change your opinion. We all have our separate opinions. As Corey thinks the best player is Chase Young. I think the best player is Terry McLaurin. You think it's Brandon Sheriff, which is totally fine, but I totally disagree with that. Dude, I don't think he's the best player.
That's why I do the top 10. I did it last year and it was fun. I think it created a lot of conversations because, we all have different criteria, and my criteria, I key in heavily on availability, and Brandon Sheriff at times is not very available. I think he's top. He's my second best player because he's an all pro. I got Terry at 3. Because he didn't crack an offseason award. I got Montez at 4, and the reason why I think Red Wings may have said Montez is the best player last year. I'll ask you this, and not arguing with you, but I just said, now does Montez have a good a season without Chase Young? That's my biggest thing. So by transitive property, Chase Young made Montez Sweat better. That's why I look at it. And I could be totally off on this base. And I said this last year in the preseason. I was like, Montez Sweat could have more sacks than Chase Young just because he's going to command a triple team. He did command triple and double teams all the time. So I love it, man. I love the debate because there's not really a wrong answer to it. Because in your top, when you get in your top 5, because there's got to be certain players there in your top 5 there. But it's good. But hey, Juan, we know one thing, one prediction that didn't work. Dwayne Haskins wasn't MVP, right, bro?
No. Hey. I knew from the start. I knew he wasn't gonna be, but I had to stick my chest out there just in case he did it. I could have been one of the guys to say he was gonna win it, but I know y'all always gonna beat me up about that one. That's cool. I put myself out there.
It's fun, man. It's good. That's good
take
though.
it. You know what I'm saying? I put myself out there for Dwayne, and he obviously didn't do the same for me. He didn't back me up, and Dwayne, screw you, man. And I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized for saying that word, but I put myself out there for you, man, and you basically slapped me. You basically spit in my face, man. Because, but yeah, man, and that sucks. But like you said, I understand where you're coming from as far as the Chase Young, but I could also say this though. Montez Sweat helped out Chase Young because at maybe not at the start of the year, but towards the middle of the year, later parts of the year where he started to pick up steam, he started to really be good. He helped out Chase Young because they weren't able to triple team and double team Chase Young as much as they were doing at the beginning of the year because Montez Sweat was emerging. So as much as Chase Young helped out Montez Sweat, I would like to think the same is for the other way around.
Yeah, and that like I said, that's fair. For that intent and purpose, I agree with you 110% there. I was actually gonna pull up a number here real quick on Montez Sweat, and I want to see something.
It says because we have Tom Brady in the house. Tom Brady is the GOAT, not Wafflehead Mahomes. Yeah, Tom Brady's the GOAT. You cannot hate Tom. I mean, I'm not gonna say you can't hate Tom Brady. You can't disagree with facts. Whether you hate or love Tom Brady is what I meant to say. He's the best quarterback of all time. You know what I'm saying? And here come the Joe Montanas, the Peyton Man. That's true and all, but who's the most who actually I don't even know if that's Tom, so I'm not even gonna say that. But I would like to think it is. Who is the most winningest quarterback in NFL history? I would like to think it's Tom, but I'm glad I didn't put that stuff out there because I don't. Let me see. Let me actually look. Who is the most?
It's probably Brady. Yeah, it is Brady after this year. I think he got like 222 or something. When they beat LA, I think when they beat the Chargers, maybe I think.
Yeah.
But this is what I was looking for, Juan. So when we played Baltimore, right? That was Chase Young. That was the game Chase Young was out for.
Right.
Montez Sweat recorded one tackle, and one quarterback hit. That, if we're looking at that, that was probably one of his worst games. Yeah, that was like one of his worst games. Two other games that he had that were pretty bad was that Arizona, that Baltimore I just said, and probably the Seattle game looked a little bad too. But and that's kind of where I'm getting at. There is that he can disappear. And I'm not saying Chase doesn't either, but like I said, that's where I'm getting at. There is that I think Montez benefited more from Chase than Chase benefited from Montez. I think they benefited from both, but I think it was greater on the other side. So, but like I said, it ain't
no wrong.
It ain't no, I don't think it's a wrong answer, but like it just depends on what side of the aisle you fall on. That's all.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. Brady is the most winningest quarterback in NFL history, actually. So, yeah, man. And I wanted to close out the show on that. Now we get to talk about some Nets and all the people that aren't National fans. I know you can leave the room now, but just to close out the show, the Nationals, man, they just ended off probably the best month of the season. There's still a lot of baseball left to play. I mean, you have Kyle Schwarber going crazy, seeming like hitting a home run almost every day. You know what I'm saying? You had Josh Bell, you know, doubling in and whatnot here and there and helping out the squad, having a grand slam in Philly. That game in Philly was so stressful. I watched that whole start to finish. You have Starlin Castro, who's he chips in here and there. Josh Harrison actually cooled off. He was the one really carrying the load at the start of the season, but he started to cool off. But he actually had a great hit. I believe it was last night or the night before. And then what concerns me is the pitching side. I know you and Natty talked about it a lot because let's just be real now. We know those bats aren't going to stay like that for the whole season, especially Kyle Schwarber. I mean, you're asking Kyle Schwarber to almost keep up Barry Bond prime numbers the whole way. That's not going to happen. Trey Turner, phenomenal player. He's hit for the third cycle of his career, which is tied for the most in MLB history. You know, Juan Soto. I don't want to say he's performing well as far as, you know, driving in runs and getting on base, but he has had a little bit of a letdown to at least start the season. It's like I said, there's still a lot of baseball to be played. But if you want to compare Soto to the Acuñas, to the Fernando Tatises, at least from the offensive side of the ball, Tatis, Ronald Acuña, for all the young players that's out there that you can compare him to. He hasn't had the best year to start off the season, but he has been consistent. You know what I'm saying? From these past couple games, at least, I just felt like he's been trying to reach, and if that makes sense, I don't know if that makes sense, but he's been trying to really just be a stat stuffer, or he's been. I feel like with Soto, he's been trying to keep up with those guys, if that makes sense. So he really hasn't been able to be himself. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to say that because Soto is amazing. And Soto is an on-based machine. And now he's starting to get back to that. But at the start of the year, I just felt like it was a lack of him not being able to see the ball well. I forgot what series that was. I want to say it was the I don't know. I think it was probably either the Phillies the first time around or the Mets first time around. He was not seeing the ball well at all. He was striking out on balls in the dirt. But one thing I want to close up the show on, we talked enough about the offense side of the ball, is the pitch. Max Scherzer is Max Scherzer. It's been rumors of him, getting traded at the deadline because Washington wasn't as good. They had at the start of the month, they weren't good really. We're one game above 500 after the loss of the Dodgers last night. But Max Scherzer possibly could be gone at the deadline. But then that's past that. Max Scherzer, you have Patrick Corbin, who has really been inconsistent. One game he's looking phenomenal, and last night you see games like that where he's getting rocked around. And then after that, you have Steven Strasburg, who one look at him wrong, he's on the IL. And then after that, as much as I love Strasburg, to this day I kind of regret not signing Anthony Rendon. We chose to go Strasburg over Rendon, and I would just imagine how good this lineup would have been with Rendon, Soto, Kyle Schwarber, Josh Bell, Starlin Castro, Josh Harrison. Yeah, but like I said, with the pitching side of the ball, it's been good with Max Scherzer, but we still haven't seen Steven Strasburg. Patrick Corbin's iffy. You have Pablo Espino, who is now starting to get some playing time and starting to get some recognition. You have Joe Ross, who really started off the season hot, and he's been solid for this past couple starts, but he started off the season hot. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the Nationals finishing the season? Do you think we could possibly get in the playoffs? I mean, it's no wild card this time around because three people from the NL West, 3 teams from the NL West are going to make the playoffs, whether they win the division. I think it's going to end up going to the Dodgers, and then the Giants and the Padres are going to get in the NL West, or the wild card rather. So it's division or bust for the Washington Nationals. What do you think about that? Do you think we have a chance to get into the playoffs? Do you think it's going to happen? Or do you think the Braves are going to heat up? Do you think the Mets are going to heat back up because they're at the top of the NL West or East right now? Do you think the Phillies still have a chance? What do you think about Washington? And also at the trade deadline, do you think we're going to end up trading Max Scherzer, or do you think we're going to try to keep him and contend for another World Series ring?
I'll start with your last question. No, Max Scherzer is not going to get traded unless they completely collapse here in July, which I don't think that's going to happen. They do have a tough stretch coming up. You got the Dodgers, which really you had the Dodgers last night. If it wasn't for that home run, that score really isn't indicative of how close that game was. And then they got rained out. Right now, you've got a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the second going into the third. So I don't think Max will get traded. And as far as for the NL East, I think that the Mets will fade because that's what the Mets do. I know DeGrom has been inhuman pretty much for this guy's been a robot for like the first part of the season. I think his ERA is still under 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, last time I seen it, it was 0.69.
Something like, it's crazy. I think one start, he even shaved off a point off of that or something. But I think they'll fade off because they are, they're pitching. They'll go as far as their pitching goes, and, they've got some offensive prowess. I think it's always going to be the Braves. I think the Braves are always going to be in the hunt there. They are to us in baseball what the Dallas Cowboys are us in football. So I think it's going to come down to us and the Braves, and I think we're going to make. I think we've got a good shot to win it. I think under 90 games is going to win the NL East, though.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think Max now at the start of June, you could have told me, you could have asked me this question, and I would have said, yeah, he's going to get traded at the deadline. But now with us heating up and us now being above 500 by one game and having a real chance at winning this NL East, I think we're going to keep on to Max Scherzer. But it was also some talks of us trading him and then trying to sign him back because he has 1 year left on his deal, obviously, and we were going to try to sign him back, similar to what the Yankees did with Aroldis Chapman. We were possibly going to do that with Max Scherzer, but like I said, now with us possibly being contenders in this NL East, we have a chance, and I think he's going to be on this team, obviously. And it's scary to think that we don't even have Strasburg back, and hopefully he can come back any time of now and be a contributor to this team. But like you said, my biggest concern for Washington Nationals, let me be more specific because I just say Washington, is can this lineup, stay consistent? Obviously, it's not going to be how it was in June. It was just unreal in June. It was unreal in June, especially led by Kyle Schwarber. You had Josh Bell hitting the grand slam or two during that stretch. You had Juan Soto going being solid. You had Trey Turner hitting for the cycle, being unreal too. You had Starlin Castro and Josh Harrison contributing a little bit here, and that's all I want. You know what I'm saying? As much as I love the long ball, I want consistent batters. I want it on base and have people drive. Just keep the train moving. That's all I want. If they can stay consistent until we get Strasburg back and we're fully back healthy at the pitching rotation, we can really be something in this NL East. If you look at the Braves, their pitching isn't the best. Their bullpen is terrible. That's a reason why they've been losing a lot of this game. But what scares me is obviously that lineup led by Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies and Freddie Freeman, obviously, is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And then if you look at the Mets, Jacob deGrom is unreal. But after that, who do you have? You have Taijuan Walker. You have Marcus Stroman. But those aren't guys that really scare you. You know what I'm saying? So I think Washington Nationals have a good chance at winning this NL East, but July is going to be a big month, especially kicking it off. And here you have the Dodgers for 4, you have the Giants for 4, you have the Padres for 4. Yeah, we just finished with the Giants, right? I believe so. Right? Just finished with the Giants.
We're getting ready to play the Giants next series.
We just got finished with the Rays. I'm sorry for the 2-game series between them. My bad. But we got the Giants and then we got the Padres. So this is going to be a big test for us. You know what I'm saying? They have phenomenal lineups, especially in San Diego with the Crone Zone. I love when he hits a home run, man. We're in the Crone Zone. And you have Fernando Tatis. It's going to be fun, man. But we have a tough stretch, and July is going to be a big month for the Washington National. Dora Gunner says, bow down to the Red Sox. NL East is garbage. AL East all day. Yeah, I can't hate on the Red Sox. They're phenomenal, man. They're really good. They're really surprising me. I did not expect them to be good. I did not expect the Giants to be good. I thought they were going to eventually fall off, but they're really good in that AL East. You know what I'm saying? They just swept the Yankees for the second time this year, so can't hate on the Red Sox. So yeah, man, I think that's going to call it at the end of this show. Yeah, we crushed the Rays 15-6. That's the game where Trey Turner hit for the cycle. Phenomenal game. I'm actually going to go catch this game and write down some notes because that's what we do. Never stops over here. So
that's right.
Like I said, man, I appreciate you guys for coming on to the channel tonight, for watching me and On the Warpath. I want to thank On the Warpath for coming on the channel for been a while now, but we're gonna be back in full effect on my channel with On the Warpath and on his channel with me as also anytime I'm welcome. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video or a live stream like this. Hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 3,000 subscribers on my channel, and Corey's on the road to 2,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button for both of us. It's me, your boy Juan Gotti, and On the Warpath. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.